Hey everybody, thanks for joining us this week. It's Jason Klamm, Comedy on Vinyl podcast. You already know that. You clicked on it, but still. Timothy Omundson is on this week. I'm very excited. It was a great episode. Timothy Omundson plays Carlton Lassiter on Psych, if you don't already know that. I'm a huge fan of his. And he wanted to talk about Flip Wilson's The Devil Made Me Buy This Dress. It's a funny album. It's a bit dated, maybe, in some ways. I mean, it's a lot of stories leading up to really ridiculous jokes. But that doesn't change the fact that it is the first comedy album he remembers listening to, and that's what's important. So it's a really great episode. Obviously, in case you don't know, Season 7 of Psych is on right now on the USA Network. And, check it out. Watch it. I love it. It's one of my favorite shows. It's on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. So, yeah, check it out. And make sure to follow him on Twitter at Omundson, Omundson. Thanks so much, and enjoy the episode.
I'd like to say thank you very much, and welcome to the first Flip Wilson special. And in the dressing room a few moments ago, I was sitting, and I was running through my mind great quotations. I like great quotations. I've always learned a great deal from them. And there were three that ran through my mind. One was the greatest quotation I've ever heard, made by a woman. And the second was one that I'd written myself. And the third was a quotation made by a gentleman who I consider to be the champion of great quotations, Benjamin Franklin. Let me do them for you, see what I mean? The greatest quotation made by a woman was made by a girl named Sarah Johnson. And it was made when I was coming in to do the show. It was Sarah Johnson, whom I heard tell the airline's service representative there, "If you can fly this plane 600 miles an hour in the dark and find Los Angeles, you can find my bags."
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us. This week, I have Timothy Omundson on the show.
Hello.
And we're talking about Flip Wilson, The Devil Made Me Buy This Dress. And you picked it because it's one of the first things you remember listening to, right?
It was indeed. It was I did not listen to a lot of comedy when I was a kid. It was not something I grew up with. It wasn't really in my household. And I was going through my parents' jazz records. And again, they never really played music. I don't think I ever heard them play a record. Sort of very Eisenhower generation parents. And for some reason, my very, very white parents had a copy of Flip Wilson's The Devil Made Me Buy This Dress in their collection. And I don't know. I would imagine I was around maybe 10, maybe a little older. And I guess I was attracted to the image of a black man in a very 60s go-go dress.
It's an amazing cover.
On the cover. On the cover is Flip Wilson in drag as Geraldine, and in fuchsia. You would call that color.
I think so.
In fuchsia lettering that matches his hat is the words, "The devil made me buy this dress." He's got a purse. He's got some leggings. He looks super fly. And there we go.
That's the thing that sucks on a lot of people, I feel like. That's the one thing you don't really get anymore with tiny CDs or going online. It's content exclusively usually, but with a record, there was a time when you might get sucked into content because of the amazing cover.
I totally judged it by its cover, and literally, I was just like, "What the hell is this?" And like, again, it was a really white family.
Yeah, and you don't know how that happened.
I actually called my mother last night. She's in her 80s, and I said, "Do you remember this album?" She had, I think, no recollection of it. I'm like, "Where did this come from? Was it yours? Was it Dad's?" She did not know. And I'm like, "You had this record collection?" She said, "Well, where did those come from? Because you never played any." And she says, "Well, it was a guy I was going with before your dad who worked he was a DJ in Yakima, Washington, and he had a lot of those records."
All right.
But this came out in 1970. So it was not from him. See how I deduced that?
Yeah, that's good.
I play a detective on TV. And so I don't know where the hell it came from.
That's funny. How many did you throw it in right away, or did you?
I in listening to it again, I re-listened to it yesterday, and there were a few bits that I remembered, and then I was surprised at how much is on my hard drive in the back of my head. Of just more of line readings that he would do, and so I remember in listening to it, I actually memorized all the bits, and I would do the bits for my friends. This all sort of came back to me. I didn't really remember. So I was the, let's say, 13-year-old white kid in suburban Seattle doing these bits performed by, Flip Wilson, who is not a white man.
No, not quite.
And half of his bits involve him doing Geraldine. So here I am going,
You don't know. The devil made me buy that dress. You wasn't there. How do you know?
and a star was born.
Yeah. Holy shit! I wasn't going to ask you to do it, but I had a feeling.
how
I
can-
had a
how
feeling
can
it
you
was
not?
built into you somehow.
But it wasn't. And in listening to this album, most of the jokes, God rest your soul, Flip, they're awful.
Sure.
They're dumb jokes. They're dumb jokes. And the first side, because it's an actual album, is recorded from his first television special, which I think was 69, maybe.
Okay.
And then the flip side, get it, Flip Wilson. The flip side is basically his monologues from the week he hosted Carson.
Right.
And so they're very sort of, they're not very different styles, but his stuff, he wasn't really a joke guy. And any of you out there who know more about Flip Wilson, which is probably a lot, forgive me if I'm
It's okay.
acting like an underdog.
No. This happens. The whole point is that it means something.
Okay, so again, this is just me looking back, going, "Oh, this is why I got it." It's because he was a storyteller, and he would tell these long ass stories to get to this one dumb punchline. And again, most of the punchlines were dumb.
Yeah,
you would like things my dad would send to me now, emails, and I just go, "That's dumb, Dad." But there were a few gems in there.
Yeah.
And that's what really stuck to me.
What are the ones that specifically you like the most?
I have in my memory banks the very first routine on the album is him doing quotations, and it's the opening of his special, and he says, and again he does a lot of women, and they all sound like Geraldine.
Yes, they do.
So the first one is
If you can fly this plane 600 miles an hour in the dark and find Los Angeles, you can find my bag.
and you can't say those lines without those vocal intonations.
Right.
It's like, so I, as a young adolescent young boy, could do a sassy black woman.
Sure.
And look where it got me.
Did you? We've talked about it a couple times on the podcast. My normal co-host, who couldn't make it because of car trouble, has talked about doing bits that were not that were performed originally by people not of his own race, and realized later on how dreadfully inappropriate it was. But again, you're innocent, and you're young, and it's going to influence you in some way, and positively.
I mean, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about race in comedy and doing bits like this, and is it? Yeah, it's such a sensitive topic now.
Sure. Yeah.
And understandably so. But then you have people of other ethnicities doing, like, I could see where, as long I honestly sort of think, as long as it's not mean spirited or then anything goes. I think is my sort of take.
Yeah. No, I mean, intent is a huge part of comedy. I mean, nobody bitches that Blazing Saddles says that word as many times as it does because it's got a point to it.
And it's one of the most comedic genius pieces ever to be created anywhere.
Of course. Yeah. Brilliant. But what's so funny is because I interviewed the screenwriter of that film.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that would have been good.
Andrew Bergman. He's one of the screenwriters, but the original creator of the story. And it's funny, too, though, to interview him about that specifically. That wasn't on their mind. Making something important was not on their mind. And I think you probably understand this even better than most people. You're not trying to necessarily make it have a point to it. You just want to be funny. Yeah. And then if it's got a point to it, let it bleed through, I suppose.
And I'd heard that originally it was going to be Richard Pryor instead of Cleveland.
Yeah, it was.
Hear that?
Yeah.
Which what a different movie that would have been.
I know. I can't imagine, but it's too bad he had so many problems because he would have been great.
Yeah.
Do you? Did this influence anything specifically, or just at subconscious level?
I think it really influenced. Again, not to be all highfalutin, but like how I sort of approach characters, because in listening to this, he in telling the stories, he plays all the parts, and they're very different vocally.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty vocal actor. It's one of the tools I like to play with in my kid. And so to hear the way he could convey something, and again, because these were recorded from live shows, from people, from visual shows.
Sure.
I'm always trying to figure out, what's he doing? What's he doing with his face? And so I would sort of fill that in, and it really made my imagination. It really strengthened my imagination a lot, and just what he would do with just even the nonverbal stuff.
Right.
I would sort of fill that in, and that became building blocks of what I do. I think
that's kind of awesome.
I
mean, coming up with your own math to get to that final equation.
Yeah,
and
when he's talking about how there's this one bit. So the very famous bit is "The devil made me buy this dress," which is the Reverend's wife explaining to the Reverend why she bought another dress, and he so fully embodies this character with Geraldine, where there's even this one bit. And again, I would mimic because that's all I knew. I didn't know comedy. I just knew if I sound just like this, it'll be fun. And if I deliver it like this, it'll be funny.
Right.
And she's doing this thing. She's like,
I've been walking down the street, and I heard the devil. He's tiptoeing up, and I didn't look behind me because I knew it was the devil,
And it was just that way.
The devil,
It was just this thing where I could see this woman telling this to her husband.
Oh, yeah. And that got a huge laugh, actually. That particular line gets a massive laugh.
And I can just imagine he's doing some sort of sachet. And it's just, so there was the obviously that bit. And then the Reverend Leroy, also known as the Gorilla bit. And that thing, I still to this day, I will quote, all I got is $1, a raincoat, and a pack of chewing gum. But I'm going to give that to you, so you can have that. And again, it's like I'm suddenly doing this African-American minister.
Sure.
But why not?
Right. There's, again, intent.
And picture a 12-year-old boy.
Right. That's even better.
Seattle doing that.
I would kill to see that.
He told me his wife came in the house a few days before, and she had this box. And on the side of this box was written the name of a very exclusive dress shop. The lowest dress was $85. And that was on sale. So she walks in the house, and Rev says, "Another dress? You bought another dress? This is ridiculous. That's the third dress this week." And his wife tells him, "The devil made me buy this dress." Said, "I didn't want to buy no dress. The devil kept following me. I was going down the street going, and the devil kept following me, and he kept telling me how good I look." Rev said, "I'm not going for that." He said, "Every time you do something wrong, you blame it on the devil." He said, "You blamed it on the devil when you ran the car into the side of the church." She tells him, "It was the devil. You wasn't there. How do you know? He grabbed the steering wheel out of my hand." Rev said, "Well, why didn't you step on the brake?" Said, "Because when he grabbed the steering wheel, I tried to kick him. I can't kick him and step on the brake at the same time." Said, "And we had a big fight. And that's why I was in the back seat when y'all got the car open."
You're a performer, you're an actor, but did you have any specific comedy background? Did you ever do a lot of improv or stand-up or anything like that?
No,
Just
never. I was straight up theater geek. Started studying theater when I was 12 at the Seattle Children's Theater, and I mean, I was a goofy, funny kid, as many actors and dweeby kids are.
Sure.
They use humor to disarm the people who terrify them.
Sure.
And that was me. That's one of the reasons I would do these bits, because all I had to offer was sort of making people laugh if I could.
Was it ever a matter of that soaking through your performance, or making very intentional comedic choices when you finally sort of realized that you could do comedy? Or did you always know you could do comedy?
No, I never really knew that I could do comedy. I mean, I knew that I could be a gregarious kid in certain circumstances and not feel like an asshole for 10 minutes.
Right. Right.
And that was pretty much
Okay.
it. Just how can I get through sitting here at lunch at this table in 7th grade
Yeah.
without feeling like just a total misfit toy?
Sure.
And this was part of it. You know, there's a few other albums we talked about, which will be for another podcast. But I would do those bits as well. And there was one time in the biopic of my life, it's going to be a great scene because it was a high school, I think it was a talent show, and I was emceeing the talent show. I was always much more of that kind of guy than actually coming up with performances unless it was doing a play. And there was a technical difficulty, and I had to vamp for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I drew upon everything everything I could steal from everything I'd ever heard my entire life. And part of it was sort of Robin Williams-esque, and part of it was this minister that I came up with. And I don't think I stole the bit. Maybe I did, but my high school principal still were in contact, and he will still do bits back that I did.
That's amazing.
And I may have stolen it from someone,
Sure.
but so it was all in my back pocket, just sort of necessary, or just waiting to come out. And I think in the work now, I always say I just steal from as many people as I can.
Sure.
I don't have any original ideas that I'm aware of. It's either a variation of Monty Python and Carlin and Robin Williams all mixed out, coming out as if Tony Randall did it. So, I mean, in sort of the stuff I do now.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of going to be my next question, was sort of you have a filter, you have a presence that can very instantly be taken seriously. You don't have a goofy look. You know what I mean? You can make a goofy face, sure, I've seen that, but you have a very serious look. I mean, you did Judging Amy. You've done a lot of stuff that's very, very strongly drama. So, I mean, that obviously gives you a base to work with when you're doing comedy, because as everybody knows, or at least as I hope most people know, you have to start from a place of reality. Is it just natural for you to just suck the comedy out of that and just like put it out? I mean, not suck it out. That sounded wrong. What I mean is the reverse. Pull it out and show it.
The straight?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty natural. Certainly, the character I've been spending the most time on in the last 7 years has been Carlton Lassiter.
Sure.
On this television show, Psych. Check it out. It's pretty funny. I think it's available on Netflix.
I think most of my friends would like me to say hello to you, by the way. I just feel like I should point that out. They all love you, and Natalie says hi.
Oh, Natalie, she's the best.
She is the best.
How is she, by the way?
She's doing so well.
Oh,
She's going to be horribly embarrassed. This is going to be great.
She looks great, by the
Doesn't
way.
she?
I saw her never, and
yeah?
she just looked amazing.
I'd have to agree with you.
But Lassiter is such a tightly wound prick, and in the context of our show, James is the crazy sort of spastic comedy.
Sure.
And Dulé straddles the line between the two. And I just sort of realized quickly the more serious he is, the funnier he is. The more serious he takes himself, and the fact that he thinks he's Clint Eastwood in the Dirty Harry movies, and then there's what everyone else sees. That's sort of where the funny. So again, it's just this guy.
I think my question was incredibly vague, but your answer was much better. So I apologize for that.
No, and prior to Psych, I guest starred on. It's funny because I would never really have thought I was going to be that I would spend a third of my career doing a comedy.
Right.
Because again, it was all like, I was Shakespeare and I would do the dramatic things,
Sure.
and it was Deadwood and things of this didn't matter. And although I got my SAG card on Seinfeld.
Awesome.
Where I had 3 lines, didn't know what the hell I was doing.
You can swear.
I swear too much in podcasts.
Okay.
I've come to this. I've listened to some, and I'm like, someday I want my children to hear these. Maybe.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'm trying not to sound like such a motherfucking sailor. But again, I didn't know what I was doing, and it was a very straight character, like that show was.
Sure.
So it worked. And then I don't know how I got a job on. I did 4 episodes of a sitcom, traditional sitcom called Fired Up, where it wasn't necessarily straight shit. It was set up joke, set up joke, but a sort of serious part. You can cut a lot of this out. But sort of a serious character, but definitely concentrating on trying to be funny.
Okay.
Really trying to be funny, as I thought it was, which that doesn't always work.
Right.
And then other than that, I it's been Psych. And again, I think the reason... Here's a little interesting story for no one. When I auditioned for the show, I didn't know it was comedy.
Interesting.
I had auditions, and it wasn't really pilot season. It was August, not traditional pilot season. Like, you're going in for a cop. I read the sides. It's an interview scene. Cop interviewing the perp. I'm like, great. I'll wear my dark blue cop suit, and I go in. And just before I started, Steve Franks, the creator of the show, said, "Hey, just so you know, it's not NYPD Blue. It's moonlighting." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Holy shit! I know how to do that."
Yeah.
And whereas because honestly, like, I felt there were a gazillion guys who can go in and do NYPD Blue.
Sure.
Who are better looking and tougher and bigger and stronger than me if that's what they want.
Right.
But it's like, but I could do that version of a cop. And I'm not saying I got cast in the room, but it was the greatest audition I'd ever had in my life.
So
and basically, I left by saying, I'm going to leave before I say something stupid and fuck this up. And here we are, 8 years later.
That's pretty great. Do you, going back then, I guess, to your comedy roots, I know you said you had a couple other albums you might want to talk about, but if this is the first, did you go out and seek anything like this? Or was this a very, like, unique...
It was a totally unique experience. I was not like, I want to know about comedy. Mm-hmm. I want to, comedy in my house was Barney Miller.
Okay.
It was whatever my parents were watching.
Sure.
Which, off the top of my head, was Barney Miller. Mm-hmm. And I just got to work with Max Gale, which was
really
super cool. He's a lovely man.
That's awesome.
But in MASH, I watched a lot of MASH, which was not a traditional comedy, but that's where... So it was the stuff that sort of... it always walked the line, and that's what was interesting to me. So no, I didn't go out and I wasn't the kid going down to the record store or trading this stuff with my friends or talking bits at all. It was like there was this one album in my parents' jazz collection, and funny. That sort of started me off. And then later, probably around the same time, I had a little tape recorder, and I would do stories. I would record stories. I had a version of Little Red Riding Hood, playing all the parts. I don't know why it was Little Red Riding Hood. It was this very twisted version of Little Red Riding Hood. I wish I had the cassette somewhere, but
that'd be amazing.
Doing all the sound effects, and I remember playing it for a friend of mine, and him going, "Wow, you're really good at that! Like that rifle sounds like a rifle clicking," and that is like it was. It's
awesome,
encouraging.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the voices for a second. I mean, you heard it enough that you obviously can mimic it very well. Is there anything else that you ever felt the need to do that with? Because, I mean, again, vocally, obviously you've got a lot of range, but, you do have to be fairly monotone on Psych, so I'm just curious what kind of...
And I've never really played a role where I've gotten the opportunity to do that. Everything's, much sort of straighter.
Yeah.
There's slight colors I get to throw in on Psych.
Sure.
Where even a look. There's one of my favorite just images is from the film Philadelphia Story, and it's a pretty iconic shot of Katharine Hepburn and is it Jimmy Stewart? No, it's not Jimmy Stewart. Well, it's Cary Grant, and who's the third? Okay. It doesn't matter, because all I ever focus on is Cary Grant, and he has this look on his face of just shock and utter and surprise. It's the dog who just heard a weird noise.
Right.
And I do that look as much just because it speaks to me, and it's like, here's this guy who's Cary Grant, who's always Cary Grant, and he's so together, but then in just that one look you realize, no, he has no freaking clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And I try and slip that one into Lassiter as much as I can.
He was doing summer tossing. So what was that? I was wondering what it was, and all of a sudden he came back. Said, boop, boop, boop. I said, Miss Johnson, there's a guy doing somersaults by your window. She said, yeah. She went to the door, and she looks, and there's one of the bums. You know, and he's doing cartwheels around the yard and somersaults. Then he's spinning around, and then he ran up the side of the tree. I said, wow, Miss Johnson. Then he spun around the branch, and he jumped back down to the ground and did a little ballet there, like that. Did about 5 minutes of that. I said, Miss Johnson, why don't you get him to perform for the club date this afternoon? She said, great, so I'll ask him. So she called his bum's friend. She said, would your buddy perform for me at the club meeting this afternoon? Said, I'll give him $100. I'm surprised because she was only giving me $35. The guy said, I don't know, Miss Johnson. Said, I'll ask him. Then he turned to his buddy and he said, hey, Freddie, you willing to cut off another toe for $100?
So did you ever watch the Flip Wilson show? Or
No.
This is it?
No,
This is your one.
This was my experience.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and maybe if I was a more curious child, I would have actually sought this out. But I was just I was riding bikes and watching Star Wars and trying not to get beat up.
Right.
And, dodging my brother's barrages of footballs to the head and
Right.
stuff like that.
When you were then going to school as a theater kid, were your influences strictly just from your teachers or from your other friends? I'm just curious, again, where the comedy part was nurtured or if it sat there for a bit.
I think it sat there for a long time,
Yeah.
but it was constantly being fed with television, and because I grew up in Seattle, which was very close to the Canadian border. If you know anything about geography of our great country, and we would get the BBC, we'd get CBC, on UHF channel or whatever the hell it was, and so we were able to get Monty Python.
That's awesome. Okay.
So I'm trying to think because my dad my parents did have a lot to do with it, especially my dad. He's a very odd, dry, as my mother would say, weird sense of humor. He's not a funny guy, you would think, but he has his standard jokes.
Sure.
Every time I'd leave, right if you get work, I got to do something. Well, it keeps you out of bars. Which is a very sort of Johnny Carson. Like he liked Carson. He was not a Leno. I'm sorry, he's not a Letterman guy.
Yeah.
He was a Carson guy.
Yeah.
Ernie Koufax, that was his stuff. So, but not that he ever sat down and was like, "Hey, you should watch the Ernie Koufax show with me," or "Let me teach you something." Or except he did one time, and this was actually hugely influential. I was going to say goodnight, 14, probably 12, because I still kissed him goodnight, and he's like, "Hey, sit down, watch this movie." I think it was maybe Friday night. He's like, "You can stay up, watch this movie with me." And it was The Thin Man.
Oh.
And so William Powell, his sort of thing, this is just really coming back to me now, was hugely influential. That super dry delivery. I guess that son of a gun, it's happening right here. That's probably where a lot of the Lasseter-esque straight man stuff comes from. Because William Powell never told a joke in his life. He just said things in a very funny way.
Sure.
Which is Lasseter to many degrees. Lasseter, although Lasseter certainly doesn't have the wit. Lasseter is not naturally as funny as William Powell was.
Right.
But I think, again, I'm just blabbering on, but
No.
I think wit was always much more important to me than funny.
Okay.
It certainly is now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you think then of beyond that any other? The thing I guess with wit that's more nurtured, I suppose, in conversation, in education, beyond just listening to a lot of comedy albums like I did, because you get that kind of you get a skewed perspective. I think an okay skewed perspective, but if listening to a bunch of people trying to be funny, whereas you sound like you weren't necessarily doing that. You were maybe more surrounded by people who were funny, or the subtext was funny. Yeah,
but then it's like, my brother listened to every Cheech and Chong album there was over and over. So I realized Cheech and Chong's in there.
Yeah.
And those characters that they would do, and the range that those guys have, which most people are like, oh, Cheech and Chong, it's just stoners, man.
Right.
No, if you listen to those albums...
Yeah.
There's a huge spectrum of characters, And so it all sort of keeps coming back to the characters and the things they could create that then became funny. Mm-hmm. Or I guess how they could express funny through a weird character as opposed to just telling a joke.
Yeah. That's a sophisticated taste for a kid, I feel like. It's not something that I had, so I find that, or at least it's a good interpretation of how a kid would feel about it, because when I listen to specifically, Cheech and Chong is the reason I kind of started this podcast. Cheech and Chong and Weird Al. I didn't smoke pot at all when I was a teenager, but it didn't matter, because again, I think that is what sucked me in. Even if it was the two stoner characters, it sucked me in more, and I really liked doing the voices. That was a big thing for me. Imitation was huge. Was imitation big for you at all, like in acting and in comedy in general?
Oh yeah, because until you have some skills, you imitate.
Sure.
And if you're like me, you still imitate as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where, again, like, I couldn't write jokes, but I could do these bits that I heard other people do, and the closer I was vocally, the more I could imitate them, the funnier it was.
Sure.
The same with, I mean, the Robin Williams, like, again, that's for another podcast, but it's all that stuff is just in there.
Did you have that moment with? I feel like most people do have that moment with your parents when you first noticed, again, like you said, didn't listen to necessarily watch a lot of comedy, but first noticed the things that they found funny and then picked up on that, or were you picking up on that elsewhere? It's the same thing, like you said, imitating, but I've noticed a lot of people, including myself, like, you don't know what's funny, you might not get something, but if somebody's laughing so hard at it, it's irresistible. I mean, you had an audience on this album, I suppose, to guide you, but you know what I mean? Can you recall a moment like that?
I'm trying to think what...
It's a very specific question.
No, it's a great question, and I don't think I ever really witnessed it. Again, because it's not like my dad was sitting down that I recall, and specifically, watching comedians. He certainly never did that. But just no.
Okay. All right, good. No, that's fine with me. So let's just for a second then go to Cheech and Chong, because was it a bonding thing for you and your brother, or was it very much an older brother younger brother relationship where I'm tolerating you while we listen to this nugget?
Yeah, he was. I wasn't really. I just was peripheral. I mean, he is 8 years older than me.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was my stoner brother who came home and would listen to these, and. Yeah, part of it is I wanted to be around him. I want to hang around him.
Sure.
So that's one of the things he did. So I was around listening to it. I didn't understand most of it. But to this day, I still, when I'm in a car with someone else and they make a fast move, I still go, "Wow, man, you drive just like Steve McQueen." Again, my Geraldine is much better than my Cheech and Chong.
It's an impressive Geraldine, though. Like,
thank you very much.
You could put the money on that.
Thank you. But yeah, so that, like, there's just those things that for some reason as a kid, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, yeah. So then once you became, you're fortunate to become a working actor, it seems like pretty early. Once you became a working actor, what were your influences, or was it just, I'm a working actor and the craft is now me trying things out?
That's exactly it. And again, I wasn't doing that much comedy. And I found that when I would audition for traditional sitcoms, I wasn't very good because I was trying way too hard. The story with Seinfeld and me getting that first job, was 3 lines, and the character is kind of a dick. Again, the serious guy with the straight face.
Sure.
And I go in the room, and somebody says to, I think, Larry David, "Do you want to explain it to him?" And he goes, "No, let's just see him do it."
Okay.
And whatever I did made them laugh more than the redheaded guy who was up against me.
Okay.
And then so I get to set. Still, having never been on stage, I had never even seen the show.
Holy shit.
At this point.
Yeah, okay.
I knew it was a big show,
sure,
but I still didn't know what I was doing, and I figured, well, they'll explain it once I get to work.
Right.
And that's the last thing they're going to do. Like, they have time to talk to the guy with 3 lines, and I'm like, okay, I have no clue what I'm doing, and luckily I'm sitting down for most of it, so I don't have to worry about moving.
Yeah.
And the guy, I can't remember his name. He's a wonderful actor. I was Jason Alexander's girlfriend's brother, Little Ricky, if that makes any sense to anyone. And the episode called The Cheever Letters.
Okay.
And my mother was Grace Zabriskie, and my dad, who was the doctor on Twin Peaks. He's a wonderful actor.
Okay.
But he played a real stone cold asshole.
Okay.
And I just went, oh, okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This one totally meandering. The lines were, Jason Alexander comes up to me and says, he's like, hey, me and my little brother, Little Ricky. And he's home from college. He goes, oh, what's your major? And the line is, I don't know. Or something like that, like, I don't remember. And he goes, oh, well, try podiatry. Lots of something in feet. And so I based my whole line on he's just dumb.
Yeah.
I based my entire massive performance of 3 lines on he's dumb. And then when we get there, they decide to change the line to I don't have one. What's your major? I don't have one. Oh, we should try podiatry. Always a history or always future in feet. And suddenly, I'm like, they've just taken away my entire character. My entire character was based on him being dumb. Now I'm like, what do I do? And so I went, oh fuck. Got to play my dad's an asshole. I'll be an asshole.
Okay.
Chip off the old block. So that became the entire basis of the performance of just being a dick. And if you watch the episode, that's what I'm doing.
I have to say, I like to be honest with you people, you know? And I like to say that being a young Negro performer hosting a national television show hasn't gone to my head. Why should I let the fact that I'm in a position of power and of prominence and considerable influence affect me? I mean, why not stay cool? No, I'm not going to panic. Just be the same guy that I've always been. Ed, after the show, would you finish shining those other 2 pair of shoes?
Did you find that because you weren't maybe getting or doing as much comedy, that your interpretation of comedic roles was stunted because you thought you had to, in your head you were still thinking of it as a funny part too? Was that in any way...
Yeah, but even then, I knew that the funny came from the serious.
Sure, okay.
And to the point where, like, he puts his hand on my shoulder, and it's a classic bit. You stare at the hand, and then you look up at the guy with dead eyes. And then he pulls his hand away. And that wasn't written, but it was like, I know that the more serious I could take it...
Sure.
the funny it will appear. And Rainn Wilson said something in some interview, which is, I'll write on my tombstone, which is, I paraphrase, but in great seriousness there's great comedy, or in great comedy there's great seriousness. I should probably figure that out before I have them put that on my gravestone. But it's something to that effect.
Yeah.
And that's that Dwight Schrute character. It's like, just doesn't have a funny bone in his body,
right,
but is one of the funniest characters to hit television in the last 20 years.
Sure. Do you, so then, again, after this, after you move away, was there a point where you felt the need to buy comedy albums? Were you picking anything up? Or again, was it all working actor stuff?
It was all just working actor stuff.
This should be a lesson to everybody. This should be a lesson to everybody. Just do your thing.
I don't even know what the hell I'm saying, but
it's fine.
No, it was all working. I mean, I had the Cheech and Chong that were my brothers that I would never have picked up myself, and I had and a friend of mine, maybe when I was a little older, so it's probably about 15, 16, gave me a bootleg cassette of Robin Williams' Reality What Concept, and that was huge. But then, like Michael Keaton, it was actors in movies that I thought, like Michael Keaton was huge to me.
Yeah.
48 Hours, all the, Eddie Murphy and all the John Landis movies and all that. That's where I was getting my comedy from. It wasn't from watching stand-ups.
How were you studying it? Was it just rewatching?
Just by watching it, just kind of studying. Not even studying the videos, but just like watching it, just sort of enjoying them and going, "Oh, that's funny to me."
Yeah.
I'll log that.
Right.
And see where I can totally rip it off and use it.
It's a special type of memory that I feel like that actors have to access more. Obviously, I'm saying something incredibly obvious, and I apologize, but to log what a facial expression, what a voice, what a movement of the eyes means to you and does to your brain. To have that, I mean, we all have to do that as children, as babies,
Right.
but eventually some people become mildly sociopathic and don't know how to pick up on those cues. But you have to always be sucking those cues in and absorbing them. Is it a skill? Is it a thing you still have to practice, or is it you have a bank that you pull from?
I think there's a bank that I pull from. In ninth grade, I got sort of my first lead in a play, Cheaper by the Dozen.
Nice.
Clifton Webb role. And I remember my dad saying afterwards, you had such great facial expressions. And people will and Lassiter does a lot with an eyebrow.
Sure.
And people always go, you have such great facial expressions. And I kind of cringe at it.
Really?
Because it's so cheap. Like, to me, it's just one of the cheapest way. But yet, what did Jack Benny do his entire thing? He just deadpanned and raised an eyebrow a quarter of an inch. And so maybe because it comes easily for me, I feel like it's a cheap way to go. I feel like I'm not doing my work. But then funny's funny. So
does it make does it make the job easier and more fun then, though? Because it's not as you don't have to maybe put as much into it because it's such a part of you now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly as the show has gone on, and I don't know how much you watch the show, although you should because it's really really good. But Lassiter sort of started out as a very he was not the most fleshed out character,
right?
I felt,
right.
And part of that is how I played him. And as the show has gone on, and the writers have gotten to know me, and I've got more comfortable, I've sort of, okay, if you've ever hired me or are going to hire me, turn this off. But here's what I do. And this is how I've always sort of spent my career. Give them what they want when they hire you. And then if you have a few episodes, you slowly start slipping in what you want to do.
Sure.
And eventually what you want to do becomes the character. And that's what has happened with Lassiter. Not that I'm taking all the credit. Obviously, there's a room full of immensely talented writers and directors and our dear creator who have a huge part in it. But so much of it was, okay, here's what I want to do with this guy now. Because I can't... Let's say this thing goes for 10 years, I said to myself early on. I don't want to just be this one thing.
Sure.
And it's just all this other, like where Lassiter is now versus where he was in the beginning. He's on the moon compared to where he was.
This season's great for him.
It's been, and I'm really lucky that I have a group of bosses and writers and directors behind me that have allowed me to do that.
Right. Can you think of some specific things that you pulled out? Was it a facial expression? What was it?
Well, that Cary Grant look was one of them.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's not... Oh, actually, in the pilot, I did slip in. I bang the... Not what you're thinking. I am arresting our hero, Sean, and his head hits the roof of the patrol car. And I added, ooh, did that hurt? That looked like it hurt a lot. Which is from 48 Hours of,
yes, right.
Did that hurt? That looked like it hurt a lot. Again, I didn't use that bad
it's okay.
Eddie Murphy.
No, right. No, it's
but that's it. I was just flat out stealing lines.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things to do
great,
is steal lines from other shows.
Sure.
Do them in a different context where you're not ever going to know.
Right.
But that was,
I wouldn't have thought of it that way, to be honest. Again, if it's delivered from that guy.
Yeah.
From that voice.
But to then have him go, oh, wait, maybe he does have a sense of humor. Oh, did that hurt? That looked like it hurt a lot.
Right. Do you, out of curiosity, I'll ask some really, I apologize. I will save your children's ears, so I won't swear myself. But I have some crappy actor questions, and you can go ahead and just say, shut up, I've heard this a million times.
You may not be aware of this. I love talking about myself.
Oh, you're an actor.
I'm an actor.
I'm sorry.
Perhaps you weren't aware.
Do you, okay, then, I'm just going to, if I say the word preparation, you'll know exactly what my question's going to be. How did you prepare? What do you prepare? Just to do the character. You didn't know much about it, right? You didn't even know it was a comedy, but were you just like, cop? Was that just what you thought first, cop?
It just went in. I mean, the performance for example, in that audition, it didn't really change.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the core shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
Where I could let a phrase hang in the air a little bit more before I started. And in fact, in the actual audition where I finally got the job for the network test, which is the most hellish experience anyone will ever go through, unless you're a soldier. Put it this way: one of the most hellish things a civilian can go through.
Right.
James Roday, our hero and lead, who's one of the most talented sons of bitches I've ever come across in terms of a writer and director, and he's just encyclopedic in his knowledge of film and comedy. He went off book. We were reading together. Okay. He already had the job, and he went off book.
Sure.
And I had very specific. I mean, I worked very hard at it. I had very specific bits, and obviously the trick is to make them look like they're not very specific bits that you've worked really hard to develop.
Sure. And
he was off book, and I lost my place at one point, and then I didn't get to do one of my really funny bits that always got a laugh in the room before, and we were done, and I walked out, and I wanted to fucking kill him. I was like, I wanted to go in that room and beat the living shit out of him because he just fucked my job.
Yeah.
And they all come out, they come out like, okay, we're going to talk to you. They talk with you. They pull the actors aside and give them a little bit of direction. You're going to do this, you're going to do this. And it was C. Thomas Howell was there, and they told him one thing, and a wonderful actor named Pat Finn was there, and they told him another thing, and they said to me, my particular direction was, we're not sure you can be tough enough. We're not sure you can be, fierce enough with this guy. And I was like, watch this. And I damn near pinned him up against the wall with my voice. And so turns out he gave me the greatest gift he could have given me because he fucked with me.
Yeah.
And it then took me out of my formulaic shit that I had planned out and made me into a better actor in that scene, and I got the job. And honestly, our whole cast does that every day. Like they really break me out of my shit. I'll have stuff very sort of, I have my charcoal sketch of what I'm going to do with the scene, and a lot of times they just get to erase everything and turn it into something else because they're so damn funny.
During my younger years, I operated my own business. It was a lemonade stand, and it was doing pretty good. The way it went is I had a big sign over the lemonade stand called Flip's Lemonade, all you can drink for a dime. That was great, and it was going along pretty well, but then you always run into a wise guy, One day a guy comes up to the stand, he says, is this lemonade as good as everybody says it is? And I said, you better believe it. This lemonade is just as good as what your mother used to make. And the guy said, that got to be some very good lemonade. I said, and in addition to that, I give you all you can drink for a dime. You can't beat that. I said, let me tell you how I fix this lemonade. I put extra sugar in the glass. So that when you turn the glass up to drink it, the lemonade starts swirling around, and that makes the sugar swirl, and lemonade gets sweeter as you go down. As it goes down. Makes it taste better. And then the lemonade is very cold. I put extra ice in the pitcher, and then I pack the pitcher in the ice. I said, yeah, that's all right. He said, give me a glass. So I gave him a glass, and he said, I'll have another glass. I said, well, that'll be another dime. He said, now, hold on. He said, the sign says all you can drink for a dime. I said, but you had a glass, didn't you? The guy said, yes. I said, well, that's all you can drink for a dime.
What specific sort of improv training did you have as a theater student so young? Or was it just part of an acting class? Just like, here's a skill.
It was all part of an acting class.
Yeah.
I never had and it's funny you should mention that because in my very old middle age, I look back over my training and my career and the path, and I'm constantly going, what if I'd gone this way? What if I'd gone to New York? What if I had gone Groundlings? What if I'd gone Second City? What if I'd done that? Because that kind of Saturday Night Live was huge for me.
Sure.
That was, I loved it, especially as a very young person. And that kind of comedy really got to me, and like I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to do sketch, and now it's like it's such a thing. It's such a separate thing
for sure.
Where it's like I always feel like for an actor, an actor quote unquote to go, I want to do sketch, be like, well, I might as well say I want to cut an album.
Right.
And of course it's not, but
it's not. But it's.
But it's like it is so. It's such its own discipline. And respected discipline that maybe it wasn't before. So no, I never really studied the improv. I had a class in college. A man named Stephen Book taught. He was a great teacher, and it was acting through improv, and it was just. But it was great. It was really about filling out the life of the character that you never get to hear about.
Right.
And it was wonderful. But I've never, like, I don't know the improv games. I don't know that. Cole Stratton.
Right. Yeah.
Is an acquaintance of mine, friend of mine, and he's had me come down to Pretty Little Pony sometime to do the monologuist for Armando.
Yeah.
It's like we were doing Armando style, and I had to Google it because I had no clue what it was.
Yeah.
And I find myself doing the monologue and then hopping on and then watching these guys do sketch going, God, that's what I want to do. I want to hop on. I want to do the funny shit. I'll come up with lines in my head, and it's all I can do to not scream out jokes.
Then what if that was such a big part of it? If that drew you in so much as a young man, then what kept you from doing it?
Because I didn't know how to do it. What I knew as a kid from Seattle was, it's a great theater town.
Yeah.
So and again, I started studying. Being around traditional theater at a very young age, I didn't know there was this thing. There was Improv Olympics up there.
Yeah.
Theater sports had just sort of started.
Right.
But I don't think I had a car, and I wasn't old enough to get into them. And so it was just, this is what you do. This is how you become an actor.
Sure.
You take class, you go to theater school, which I did, and then you get out and you get an agent if you're lucky enough, and then you start chipping away. And not really realizing there were so many other avenues to go.
Right. It's interesting, though, to watch a path like yours, and if we were to take somebody else from, who started out the same period of time, who did start in improv or in sketch, that I think both of your goals, obviously, would probably be very similar. But, I mean, I feel you're probably, because of your theater background, maybe a working actor before, maybe a lot of sketch people get the opportunity to be because they're used to having to be funny, having to come up with comedic thing. Yeah, that's really all I had to say.
No, it's true though. But it's the old joke. If behind, I think most comedians are most of the funny, the people you think of really funny comedians is a dark swath of pain.
Right.
And again, that's sort of, not that it was that dark and dramatic, but like, I didn't have a lot of friends, and so I would do the funny thing.
Yeah. Is that what you're drawing from when you did the dramatic stuff too, though? I mean, were you?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And again, the great thing about Lassiter is I get to be a tough guy, and I'm the furthest thing from a tough guy.
Yeah.
But so I'd done.
That is not me agreeing with you. That's me saying I understand you feel that.
Thank you. Yeah. But I had done Sean Potter on Judging Amy for several years, and he was a sweet young liberal social worker, and with floppy hair, and he just had a heart of gold, and it was a great character, and I had a wonderful time, and I got out. Out of the, it was canceled, and I was like, well, now what the hell am I going to do? And I shaved my head, or buzzed my hair, because I'd never done that. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to buzz my hair. Because I was all about my hair. I have gorgeous hair. I was going to cut it all off. And I went back to class, and the teacher's like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, you know what? I want to be the guy with a gun. I was like, I want to be the fucking guy with a gun. I want to be Indiana Jones. I want to, Han Solo. I want to be those guys that I grew up watching. Sure. I never thought I could do. And started kind of working on that character in class. And then within like 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, maybe a couple of months, I get this crazy Marine psychopath, and then this and that, and then I get an episode of 24 where I'm a Russian terrorist, and it's all guys with guns. And you look at the gun IMDb, there's the IMDb, but then there's a weapons IMDb.
Oh, yes.
And it's just like, a buddy of mine sent it to me. We were comparing who's the most badass out of these 5 actors after Pals, and like I had all these different weapons. I was like, wow, suddenly It's like, holy shit, I'm the guy with the gun. And Lassiter is still the guy with the gun that started... I don't know where we came with this.
No. That was good. I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, it just goes to show, again, intent in life is just as important as intent in comedy. That's insane. Just to have that kind of drive to get a very specific thing in life.
Well, and it came from a teacher going, be specific and what do you want to do and stop being general. There was a conversation I had with someone on our show early on Psych, and we were I think it was like after the pilot, maybe it was during the pilot, I don't remember what, but we were talking about the Dirty Harry movies. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking how Lassiter loves Dirty Harry.
Sure.
And he goes, yeah, but you're not Dirty Harry. You're not Clint Eastwood. You're Hal Holbrook.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, okay.
Mm-hmm.
In my head going, there's no fucking way I'm playing Hal Holbrook. Because again, Lassiter was by the book.
Yeah.
It was that. And in the pilot, yes, he's Hal Holbrook. Mm-hmm. But suddenly, not suddenly, but over an evolution of the character, as the last guy he is. And now he's become the crazy version of Dirty Harry in his own mind.
Sure.
And that's one of my greatest joys. Is going. Yeah, I'm not doing Hal Holbrook. Okay, I'll do Hal Holbrook. No fucking way, I'm doing Hal Holbrook.
I guess one thing would be interesting again if your training was so specifically, again, not sketch, not improv, timing. Timing is obviously incredibly necessary to do what you do, and you obviously have it, or you wouldn't be succeeding on such a great show. But where do you learn that as a dramatic actor? What is that? Is that just reading brilliantly timed pieces and picking that up, or is it a life thing?
I think we're all sponges. I think we're all clean slates when we come out.
For sure.
And then it's whatever gets thrown at you. And it was watching, it was Saturday Night Live, and it was Bill Murray, and it was Belushi, and it was just absorbing as much of these people as I could, and going, what is funny to me? Mm-hmm. I mean, because that's all it is. It's just what do you think is funny, and then you do that. The Flip Wilson, he's got some. It's the stuff that he does in between the lines that makes it funny.
Sure. And the way that you filled it in, again, obviously, in your own head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. I don't want to keep you much longer, so number one, I always ask people before we go, if no one's ever heard this album, I hadn't, if nobody really knows who Flip Wilson is, they're new to comedy, why would you recommend to listen to this album?
Because his Geraldine is just funny.
Yeah.
I mean...
You get to learn how to do this.
I think I turned my microphone on.
You get to learn how to talk like this. You don't know. You wasn't there.
Which, if you want to go deeper into it, here was, let's see when this was recorded. This was recorded, doesn't say here, I think it was like 1970. And in his Carson stuff, he actually talks about being, in his words, a young Negro performer. That's how old this album is.
Yeah.
Doing Carson. And he's got some jokes where he's like, but I'm not going to use my influence. I'm not going to, go over the top. Hey Ed, after the show, can you finish polishing those other two pairs of shoes? Like I just think, again, I'm a white kid from the suburbs, but there is something that I find very empowering and interesting about what this guy's journey must have been.
Sure, yeah.
In 68 and 69 to suddenly be doing the Carson show.
Yeah.
And there weren't a lot of faces like his on television.
I had no idea he'd co-hosted at all. Guest hosted, I mean.
Yeah, and that was early on, man. I mean, I can't, again, I'm not versed in the Carson lore, but who else of color was co-hosting? Sammy Davis, maybe?
Maybe, but I'm going to say doubtful.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if anyway. So he was a trendsetter in that way. And just his stories again, the joke. It's not the jokes. It's not the punchlines that are funny, because frankly, they're dumb. A lot of them. They're just corny. They're good, clean, corny jokes. But it's the way he fills up to those that really taught me about setting up a story, setting up the whole thing, setting up these different characters, what you can do to string an audience along. Yeah. And it's the punchlines are secondary.
To string them along without testing their patience too, which nowadays I feel like is more of a challenge.
Yeah, and you listen, and like, especially these are live. The audience is with them every bit. They're laughing throughout the entire story, and going. It's like, man. Yeah. So he was an amazing performer in that he knew, I believe, just from listening to it, he knew how to hold an audience. Yeah. And there's times he's messing up lines. He's stumbles over his own words, but there's never an ounce of fear in his voice, and he's a badass.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm so glad you asked me to listen to it because it's great. What would you like to plug? Where can we find you? Obviously, we're going to find you on Psych.
You can find me on the hit television show Psych. It's on the USA Network Wednesdays at 10.
Characters
it's also
welcome.
Characters are welcome. It's also on Netflix and I'm sure a million other places, and probably out there to steal somewhere. But that's okay. Actors don't need to get paid. Do whatever you want to do, man. Hey, and. To quote, maybe this wasn't his line. It's funny. I've been doing this line my entire life, and I always thought it was Flip Wilson, but then I didn't hear it in the album. But it's "Live like you want to live, baby."
I think that is him.
Is that
no?
In there?
I think it's not in there, but
that's got to be a Flip Wilson.
I swear I've heard it on the show.
Okay, I now need to go Google that, or you can Google it and let me know. But that whole reading of, again, it's a hip brother saying this line, laying this knowledge on me as a little white boy in the suburbs, going, "Live like you want to live, baby," and that's a line to this day I still use. You can follow me on the Twitter. It's at Omundson, not like the theater, but like the name Omundson, and I will often. If someone would just give me some weird non sequitur, I'll just spit out "Live like you want to live, baby."
This has been awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Let's hope that they think so as well.
I hope so. Natalie will appreciate it.
Natalie, again, I miss you. We don't ever talk anymore. Call me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing it. And everybody, thank you for listening. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of Stolen Dress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Visit stolendress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, rate us highly, and write your reviews. You can follow us on Facebook.com/ComedyOnVinyl and Twitter @ComedyOnVinyl.
Yes, she shouted out with glee. Up came a happy, he threw me in the cat. The only thing that kept me afloat was holding me coconut.